Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Old Content Guide. Today we're going to power our way through the Bastion of Twilight with the goal of obtaining some transmog gear and a good sum of gold. Before we get started, remember to empty out as much of your inventory as you can, because there's a lot of stuff to loot. Once you've done that, take the Twilight Highlands portal in your major city if you've done the Twilight Highlands quest chain, and if you haven't, you'll have to head to either Undercity if you're Horde or Ironforge if you're Alliance. Make your way here. The raid entrance is located at the top of this huge spire. Before you enter, make sure to right-click on your player frame and set your legacy raid size to 25 and your difficulty to heroic. Cataclysm raids drop the same loot on either 10 or 25-man difficulty, but it drops more on 25. If you can't enter heroic, that means you have to clear the instance out on normal mode first. That's not a big deal, but once you do it once, you'll have access to the heroic mode loot. If you ever need to sell the loot you've collected, you can run out of the instance to Crushblow if you're Horde, or Victor's Point if you're Alliance. They're a simple, short flight away. Alternatively, you can just summon a mount that creates vendors. Now, let's get started. Run forwards through the large chamber and aggro everything along the way. If you're in weaker gear or you're not too confident about this, feel free to take your time here, because pulling everything can hurt and might require a survivability cooldown. The only mechanics you need to consider are the Twilight Phase Twisters, who are channeling onto these large orbs. These will damage you from very long range, so just aggro the group of Phase Twisters to make them attack you and stop channeling. The only other mechanic worth mentioning belongs to the Twilight Soulblades. They'll use a dark pool to put a swirling damage field under your feet. You'll know it's there because of this debuff. These stack. You'll also occasionally get stunned, but that's not too much of a big deal. If you've pulled everything at once, run through the chamber and down the corridor to the right. Head into the next room and immediately turn right, hiding behind this pillar. All of the trash you've just pulled will come into melee range and you can destroy them with area of effect abilities. Vacuum up the loot. Now you're up against Helpus Wormbreaker, the first of 5 bosses. He has a bunch of powerful buffs on him. The friendly dragons around the room can be freed and killed. Doing so debuffs Helpus to mitigate his strengths. The buffs and debuffs Helpus has and can be afflicted by are determined randomly each week, but since we're on heroic mode in this footage, he'll have all of them. Thankfully, all but one of these mechanics are not important to us. The fight is timed thanks to the boss's Malevolent Strikes ability, which reduces the healing you receive and can stack up to a 100% reduction, so use all of your cooldowns at the start and blow this guy up as quickly as possible. If he has the Shadow Wrapped buff from one of the dragons that week, or you're doing it on heroic, he'll cast Shadow Nova, which deals damage and knocks you back. This will interrupt your spellcasting, but it can be interrupted. It has a very short cast time though. Once Helpus reaches 50% health, he'll cast Furious Roar 3 times in a row. This stuns you for 2 seconds each time. This isn't really a big deal, it just means you should use your cooldowns at the start rather than near the end of the fight. Once Helpus dies, loot him and turn around. The door to the left has opened up. Head down there to be greeted by another room full of trash and Cho'Gall, who will send waves of chosen warriors and seers at you. These don't drop loot, so just mow them down as you descend. Cho'Gall will also send fire elementals and shadow lords at you. The fire elementals explode when they reach you, and the shadow lords root you when they reach you, so kill them at range as soon as you can. Once you've killed all of the chosen warriors and seers, Cho'Gall will run away. The trash here is fairly easy, you just need to be wary of the wind breakers, which will constantly knock you back using Violent Gale Storm. Kill these first if you intend to take it slowly, and be aware that pulling multiple packs can result in near constant knockback. This may have been patched out though, I was not able to replicate it. Just be wary and make sure you put your back to a wall, because you can fall down behind the stairs to your death if you're not careful. After you've looted, head through the door at the end of the room and you'll find Valiona and Thoralion, the second boss. They share health, and as soon as you start the fight, Thoralion, the one on the left, will take to the air, so focus your attacks on Valiona, since she'll start meleeing you. Pop your cooldowns at the start of the fight and burn her down. Thoralion will bombard you with fire attacks, some of which are avoidable, so strafe every now and then if you're worried about your health. You can be worried about your health here because Valiona will use Blackout, which places a magic debuff on you that absorbs a small amount of healing. When this effect wears off or is healed through, you'll take a huge hit that can really chunk your health, so consider using a survivability cooldown here. Valiona will also use Devouring Flames, which is a huge conal flame breath, so just run through her when she starts casting it. If they do swap places before you can kill them, which is unlikely, there's not really too much to worry about, just avoid swirling stuff on the ground. But ideally you want to kill them before they change places, this isn't too difficult to do. Head down the corridor opposite the one you entered and glance left to kill the evolved Draconar. Head the other way through the other one, and then into the Sanctum of the Ascended. There are a bunch of different elementals here. Gather them up and kill them. The debuffs they place on you cancel each other out for the most part, so don't worry about them. Then you're up against the third boss, the Ascendant Council. This is a group of 4 enemies that fight you 2 at a time, then combine at the end to form a super mega boss. You start against Feludius and Ignatius. Their abilities are completely superfluous, so just burn them down. If there's stuff on the floor, just step aside. You might get knocked back. It's all irrelevant. Don't use your cooldowns yet. When one of them reaches 25% health, they'll both run away and the other 2 Ascendant Counselors will replace them. So try to damage them down at a fairly even rate. This will help against the Super Mega Boss. After the first 2 run off, Arion and Terrestra will appear. Again, when one reaches 25% health, the phase will change, so damage them as equally as you can. Again, their mechanics are kind of irrelevant. If you see stuff on the ground, just step aside. Once one of them reaches 25% health, you'll be stunned and the 4 of them will have a quick cuddle session in the middle of the room before transforming into the Elementium Monstrosity. His health is dependent upon the remaining health of the 4 counselors. He'll create a large, growing puddle of frost on the ground. Ignore it, keep him where he is, use your cooldowns and blow him up. Keep yourself above 80% health if you can, because if he survives long enough to cast Gravity Crush, you will lose about 78% of your health, which is very nasty. Thankfully, even as a tank, I was able to kill him before he cast this. Alright, we're almost done. At this point, I ran out of the instance to sell the loot I'd acquired, but if you have enough room, you can keep going. Every boss drops about 7 pieces of loot, and trash will drop more, so use that to calculate if you have room left to finish the instance, since the final boss will involve a long drop that you can't climb out of. When you re-enter the raid, remember that there are one-way portals that will take you to the last boss room that you've killed. In the final room, the Throne of the Apocalypse, sits Cho'Gall and a few groups of trash. The Faceless Guardians like to despawn, summon a bunch of adds, and then reappear, but if you kill them fast enough, they won't do this. The Twilight Portal Shapers create portals that summon in extra adds, but they don't drop anything, so don't worry about letting them do this, just blow everything up. Then you're on to Cho'Gall. Cho'Gall has a huge amount of mechanics that can just be ignored by popping everything you have and blowing him up very fast. Don't worry about the meter you see. This won't fill up quickly enough to be an issue, and even if it does, it's not the end of the world. Ignore the adds he spawns, just destroy him as quickly as you can. The room might go quite scary, just ignore it. Even though my corruption reaches 100% here, I still killed him long before I entered any sort of danger. Reaching maximum corruption actually grants you a short damage bonus, and then after a while will mind control you, so the only challenge here is to kill him before the corruption takes control. Like I said, it looks terrifying, but just kill him really quickly. Once he reaches 1% health, he'll stagger onto the platform in the center of the room, die, and in doing so break it open. Jump down after him and get your loot. Finally, Sinestra. She has a lot of mechanics, but in general you only have to do a few things to beat her. There's a lot of roleplay here, and one of the phases can take a while. So, let's get started. In the first phase, she'll be at almost half health, and all of her mechanics are ignorable. Just beat her up, but don't use your cooldowns yet. Once she reaches 30% health, she'll create a mana barrier that will deplete her mana rather than her health, and her mana regenerates super fast, so essentially you can't kill her. At this point, Kaelin, a friendly red dragon, will appear to help you out. The 2 of them will enter a laser beam death war, and your goal is twofold: break Sinestra's shield and prevent Kaelin from losing the laser war. To break her shield, you need to weaken her. So, start smacking her, don't stop, just keep wailing away. You can also use any healing spells you have on Kaelin, as they'll be quintupled. The higher his health is, the faster Sinestra will weaken. There will also be adds here. Kill them if you'd like, but they aren't really that threatening. When the whelps die, they create puddles that will resurrect other dead whelps, so kill them in a staggered fashion if you like. This won't keep them down forever, but it'll keep them away for a long time. Once Kaelin shouts, "You are weakening, Syntharia! Accept the inevitable," Sinestra will draw power from the eggs around her. You may have noticed the 2 large pulsing twilight eggs on either side of the boss. These have damage shields that will make them absorb all of your damage. But when Sinestra weakens, she will make these shields despawn. Break the eggs one after the other. Be warned, their shield only drops for a limited amount of time. You may have to weaken Sinestra multiple times to achieve this, as sometimes it can bug out. But in general, keep wailing on Sinestra until you see the protective shield fall off. Keep Kaelin healed if you can, but if you can't, consider using a bandage or activating your cooldowns to keep Sinestra as low as possible, which will speed up the weakening process. Once the eggs are broken, Sinestra kills Kaelin and her mana barrier disappears. This is just like phase 1, except you have a cool buff that increases your haste by a ridiculous amount. Just beat up Sinestra until she dies, then loot the chest that appears just in front of her platform. And that's it. That will conclude this old content guide. Hopefully, it helped you out. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or suggestions, you can contact me using the links in the description, or you can just leave a comment. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in the Bastion of Twilight. Here's a fun little fact for you. Thoralion in the beta for Cataclysm had this voice.
Bare your soul to me, mortal!
But before Cataclysm was launched, they changed it to this one.
Bare your soul to me, mortal!
I think that's a bit of a shame. Thoralion's old, fabulous nature will remain in the hearts of many.
Writhe in agony!